The Empress's rage, the galactic throne room was silent until the doors slammed open. 2 guards in golden armor marched in, dragging a trembling messenger between them. His uniform was scorched, his breathing heavy. The Alien Empress sat high. On her throne, tall and fearsome, her long silver robes glowing under the cold light. Her crown of black crystal shimmered like the edge of a blade. She leaned forward, her eyes narrow and sharp. "Speak," she ordered. Her voice cold enough to freeze the air. The messenger swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, your flagship, the Radiant Spear is gone, destroyed near the border." The words echoed in the vast hall. Advisors and nobles gasped. The Empress's fingers tightened around the arm of her throne until the metal bent. "By whom?" she asked, each word filled with venom. "Humans," the messenger said, almost whispering. The court erupted in angry shouts. Some demanded immediate retaliation, others spoke of treaties and politics. But the Empress raised her hand, and all fell silent. "Humans," she repeated, tasting the word like poison. "A young, loud species that thinks they can defy the Empire." One of her generals stepped forward. "Majesty, they claim the attack was self-defense. They say the Radiant Spear crossed into their space first." Her lips curled into a cold smile. "Self-defense? They dare accuse my fleet of trespass?" She stood, her robes flowing behind her like storm clouds. "No one destroys my ship and lives to speak of it. No one insults the throne." The Empress's voice rose, echoing off the tall crystal walls. "Summon the fleets, all of them. I want the skies over Earth burning within the month." Her advisors exchanged uneasy glances. One, an elder with pale skin and trembling hands, spoke carefully. "Majesty, forgive my boldness, but the humans are unpredictable. They fight in strange ways. Some whisper they are nothing." The Empress snapped, her voice cracking like a whip. "Primitive creatures who got lucky once. We will crush them before they can even breathe." But deep in her mind, she remembered a rumor from years ago about the Terran War in the Outer Rim. A battle where human ships had appeared from nowhere, surrounded an enemy fleet, and vanished again. No one ever found those ships. No one ever explained how they moved so fast. She dismissed the thought. Rumors were for the weak. She was the Empress. She commanded 1,000 worlds. Still, something in the way the messenger avoided her gaze made her pause. "Tell me," she said slowly, "what destroyed my flagship? A fleet? A swarm?" The messenger hesitated, then spoke. "No, Majesty. It was one ship." The hall fell silent again. Even the wind outside seemed to stop. "One ship?" The Empress's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Yes," the messenger said, his voice shaking. "A human warship, black as night. It moved like nothing we've ever seen. Our weapons didn't touch it. And when it fired, our shields fell in seconds." The Empress stepped down from her throne, her tall figure casting a shadow over the messenger. "You expect me to believe a single Terran vessel could destroy the Radiant Spear?" The messenger nodded weakly. "I saw it with my own eyes." The Empress turned to her generals. "Find this ship. Find its home. And when you do, burn everything around it." As the generals bowed and hurried to obey, a thin smile crept onto her lips. This was no longer just revenge. This was about power. About showing the galaxy that the Empress's will was unbreakable. Yet, far away on Earth, the words "find this ship" had already reached human ears. In a dark room deep beneath the surface, Admiral Rain looked at the intercepted alien transmission and leaned back in his chair. "She's angry," he said, almost amused. "Good, let her come." He turned to the massive holographic table. Beside him, one by one, Red icons representing human supercarriers flickered to life. Rows upon rows of colossal warships, each the size of a floating city, waited in silent formation. For decades, they had been hidden in the shadows, known only to a few in the highest command. They had been built not for expansion, but for the day the galaxy pushed too far. And now, that day had come. Asterisk, the secret fleet Admiral Rain stood in the dim light of the command chamber, his hands resting on the edge of the massive holographic display. The glowing map showed the borders of human space, each point of light marking defense stations, patrol routes, and hidden bases around him. Senior officers waited in silence. No one dared to speak first. The tension in the room was thick every. Man and woman knew the alien transmission they had intercepted was not just a threat. It was a declaration of war. Rain finally broke the silence. The Alien Empress wants our heads. She's sending her fleets. And this time, she's bringing everything she's got. A low murmur went through the officers. Captain Voss, a scar-faced veteran, leaned forward. Sir, do we mobilize the outer defense line? Rain shook his head. No. If we move the public fleets, she'll see us coming. We need her to think. We're unprepared, slow, weak. Another officer frowned. But, sir, our ships out there are old. They can't stand against 1,000 alien warships. That's the point, Rain said with a thin smile. She'll waste her first wave on them, thinking it's all we have. And then, he tapped a control on the table. In the hologram, the stars shifted. From the darkness, massive shapes appeared one after another, hundreds of them. Each was a supercarrier, black and silent, built in secret shipyards far from any known trade route. The officers stared. Even though they were cleared for top-secret operations, some had never seen this many supercarriers in one place. There. Beautiful, whispered Commander Hawley. They're hungry, Rain corrected, and they've been waiting for this moment for decades. He turned to the comms officer. Wake the captains. Tell them. It's time. Deep in hidden hangars, carved into asteroids, alarms blared. Crews rushed to their stations. Massive blast doors slid open, revealing the dark void. Supercarriers began to move, their engines glowing like the hearts of newborn stars. Each ship was a fortress-layered armor, energy shields thicker than city walls, and enough firepower to burn a planet to ash. But they weren't built just for brute force. They carried something more dangerous, human unpredictability. While alien fleets relied on rigid formations and centuries-old battle doctrine, humans thrived in chaos. Their commanders could change tactics in seconds, turning a losing battle into a crushing victory before the enemy understood what had happened. Back in the command chamber, Rain studied the enemy's expected route. She'll send her scouts. First, he said, we let them see what we want them to see. Then, when her main fleet arrives, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Every officer in the room could imagine the sight. 1,000 alien warships facing 1,000 human supercarriers, each one ready to unleash hell. But Rain knew something the Empress didn't. These carriers weren't just warships they carried. Weapons the galaxy had banned long ago. Weapons that could end a battle in minutes, or wipe out an entire fleet in one strike. He looked up at his officers. Make no mistake. She thinks she's hunting us. But when she crosses into our space, his eyes hardened. She learned what it means to be the prey. The first contact, the Alien Empress's fleet entered human space like a storm. The void lit up with the glow of their massive engines rows upon rows of warships, their hulls covered in alien runes that told stories of past conquests. On her flagship, the Empress sat on a throne of black crystal. Her eyes burned with cold fury. Around her, alien commanders reported in perfect discipline. First scouting group has crossed the outer human defenses. No resistance detected. The Empress's lips curved into a cruel smile. Of course. They hide like frightened prey. Press forward. Her fleet advanced in perfect formation, triangular wedges of heavy battleships, supported by swarms of smaller escorts. In their minds, the humans were already beaten. But far ahead, hidden in the darkness, one human warship. Weighted dot, it wasn't a supercarrier. It wasn't even large. It was a destroyer, fast, sleek, painted in matte black. No markings, no signals. It drifted silently, like space debris, invisible to alien sensors until it powered up. On the bridge, Captain Mira Kane watched the alien ships on her display. They've entered range. Her first officer said Myra didn't answer. She just leaned forward. Transmit the signal. A single encrypted pulse shot out into the void. It wasn't a message for the aliens. It was a key. And far away, in a hidden sector, the human supercarriers woke up. One by one, massive icons lit up. On the tactical display in secret human command, engines roared to life. Hulls the size of floating cities moved into formation. Back on the alien flagship, the Empress narrowed her eyes. Did you feel that? She asked. Her science officer hesitated. A faint energy spike? But nothing. Important, your radiance. She leaned back. Continue. Moments later, the first alien cruiser approached the drifting destroyer. Through the dark, the alien ship's weapons began to charge. Inside Myra's ship, the crew waited. In silence. The alien cruiser locked on its gun batteries, glowing with power dot. And then, the destroyer moved dot in a burst of speed. It darted forward, weaving between the alien ship's firing arcs. Missiles streaked from its hull, striking with deadly precision. In seconds, the alien cruiser's shields collapsed, and a second volley ripped straight through its core. The Empress shot to her feet as the image came through. One of our cruisers destroyed? Her voice was ice. Find them, burn them. But by the time her orders left her lips, Mira's destroyer had vanished into the void again, leaving only drifting wreckage behind. The Empress didn't know it yet, but the real purpose of that attack wasn't victory. It was bait. And she had just taken it. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, 1,000 human supercarriers were waiting for her to come closer. The trap closes. The Empress's fleet pressed forward, their massive shadows swallowing the starlight. Every alien captain was on edge now. The loss of one cruiser was small in numbers, but it was a wound to their pride. On the human side, Captain Myra's destroyer slipped back into the black, running cold, no lights, no signals. She knew the Empress would send hunters after her. That was the point. From her command chair, Mira whispered, "Let them chase. They'll see what waits for them soon enough." In the alien flagship, the Empress paced, her tail of shimmering. Scales swayed with each step. They think to mock me with games? I will grind their ships into dust. Your radiance, her chief strategist said carefully. Our scouts report. Unusual movement. Multiple large objects. No, very large. Changing trajectory near the outer rim. Identify them, she snapped. The sensor officer worked furiously, then froze. I can't confirm. They're too far for full scan. But their heat signatures. He stopped himself, glancing at the Empress with fear. Speak. She barked. They're enormous. Bigger than anything in our fleet. Hundreds of them. Possibly more. The Empress's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No species builds that many capital ships. It would take centuries. In the darkness beyond the alien fleet, the human supercarriers were forming a wall. Each one was the size of a city, bristling with railguns, missile batteries, and fighter bays that could release swarms like angry hornets. Their armor was layered with energy-dampening plating, making them ghosts until they powered up. And now they were powering up. One by one, their hull lights ignited like the opening of 1,000 eyes. Beams of light stretched across the black, revealing the sheer size of the fleet. In the alien flagship, gasps filled the command deck. "Your radiance," the strategist said, voice shaking. "There aren't hundreds. There are 1,000. The Empress froze, her claws digging into the armrest of her throne. 1,000 supercarriers? Captain Mira's voice cut through every alien channel, calm and steady. "Galactic Empire, you have crossed into human space. You are not welcome. Turn around now, or you will not leave." It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The alien fleet's momentum slowed, but the Empress, she smiled. "We have come too far to turn back. Prepare to engage." The trap had closed. The galaxy was about to see what humanity's wrath truly looked like. The first strike the void was silent, too silent. 1,000 human supercarriers floated in perfect formation, each one armed like a fortress and built to crush anything in its path. The alien fleet faced them, row upon row of warships, their hulls bristling with weapons. In the middle, the Empress's flagship gleamed, its golden armor shining like a challenge to the stars. Inside her command deck, the Empress leaned forward. "If they want to intimidate me, they will fail. Give the order, prepare all guns." On the human flagship HSS Titan, Admiral Cross stood with his hands clasped behind his back, eyes on the holodisplay. "We give them one chance," he said. "One." A transmission shot out toward the alien fleet. Mira's voice carried through every channel. "This is humanity's final warning. Leave now." No answer came. Instead, alien engines flared to full burn. Admiral Cross didn't blink. Fire. The blackness erupted. From the human wall of steel, hundreds of railguns spat hypervelocity slugs, each traveling so fast they tore the vacuum itself into glowing trails. Missile bays opened, releasing swarms of guided warheads that danced like angry fireflies toward their targets. Energy lances stabbed out in blinding flashes, spearing through alien shields like paper. The first alien battlecruiser was split in two before it could even return fire. Its molten halves drifted apart, leaking flames into the void. The Empress's command deck shook as a shockwave from a destroyed escort rattled her ship. "Shields to maximum. Return fire." She roared. The alien fleet answered with a storm of plasma bolts and torpedoes, lighting up the void in a deadly kaleidoscope of colors. But the human supercarriers barely moved. Their shields flared, absorbed the hits, and then they fired again. Whole sections of the alien vanguard vanished. In a single barrage, ships that had served the Empire for centuries were gone in seconds, reduced to spinning wreckage. On board the HSS Titan, Admiral Cross gave his next order without emotion. "Advance." The human wall began to move forward, slow and unstoppable. The alien fleet, once proud and unshaken, started to fall back, but the Empress did not retreat. Her golden eyes locked on the human formation. "Bring me their flagship," she hissed. "I will crush it myself." She didn't realize yet the humans had only shown a fraction of their power. The breaking point, the battle, was no longer a clash, it was a storm, and the humans were the lightning. The alien fleet had started the day as the pride of the Galactic Empire, but now their formation was shredded. Dozens of burning hulks floated in the void, drifting like ghost ships, their crews gone. On the HSS Titan, Admiral Cross watched the holomap as red enemy icons blinked out one by one. "Hold fire on retreating ships," he ordered. "We're here to send a message, not wipe the board clean. Yet." Across the field, the Empress's golden flagship was still holding position, but her other commanders were breaking. Panicked calls filled her comms. Your radiance. Our forward line is gone. Half the carrier group is destroyed. We can't. Silence, the Empress thundered. You will hold your ground, or I will execute you myself. But she could see it. The fear was spreading. The humans were not just winning. They were controlling the battle like a predator playing with its prey. Suddenly, a new wave of human ships emerged from the dark behind the alien fleet, sleek, fast. Attack destroyers that had been hiding in the asteroid belt. They cut through the alien rear line with surgical precision, severing their escape routes. The Empress's strategists turned pale. They've boxed us in. In the HSS Titan, Admiral Cross leaned closer to the comms. Empress, you came here to show power. Now you've seen ours. You have 10 minutes to order a full surrender, or we finish this. Her claws dug deep into the armrest. The humiliation was worse than the losses. For centuries, the Galactic Empire had been the galaxy's iron fist. But here, in human space, that fist had met something unbreakable. Her pride screamed to fight to the last ship. But her mind whispered the truth. One more push from the humans, and her entire armada would be gone. And then it happened. One of her own admirals disobeyed orders, breaking formation and fleeing. His ship's jump drive lit up, vanishing into hyperspace. That single act shattered the last threads of discipline. The alien fleet began to fracture, some ships turning to run, others desperately trying to hold the line. The Empress rose from her throne, her voice shaking not from fear, but from rage. Signal all ships. We are not done yet. I will not be remembered as the Empress who bowed to humans. But deep down she knew. The breaking point had come. The final blow. The alien fleet was scattered, but the Empress still refused to give the order to retreat. Her flagship stood defiant in the middle of the burning void, surrounded by wreckage. On the HSS Titan, Admiral Cross stood calm, his eyes fixed on the massive golden vessel. She won't back down, Mira said quietly. Beside him, no, Cross replied. So we'll give her something to remember. The order went out. Every human supercarrier shifted formation. Massive hangar bays opened in perfect unison, and thousands of fighters poured out like a swarm of steel hornets. The void lit up as their afterburners flared, streaking toward. The Empress's positioned alien gunners fired wildly, but the swarm was too fast. Missiles, railgun slugs, and energy beams rained down on the Empress's escorts. One by one, her protective ships vanished in explosions until only the flagship remained. On her bridge, alarm screamed. The deck trembled under constant impacts. Her crew looked to her for orders, their eyes wide with fear. The Empress gripped the edge of her throne, forcing her voice to be steady. Stand your ground. This ship will not fall. But then the Titan moved. Slow, unstoppable, the flagship of humanity advanced straight toward her, its massive hull casting a shadow across the battlefield. Its railguns locked on, their targeting lights glowing like 100 red eyes. The comms crackled, and Admiral Cross's voice filled her bridge. This is humanity's answer. Remember it well. The Titan fired. The blast ripped through the Empress's shields in a single strike, tearing across her ship's hull. The golden armor buckled, molten shards spinning into the void. Her throne. Room shook violently, panels exploded, and her guards were thrown to the floor. Her second-in-command shouted, "We can't hold your radiance." But she didn't respond. She was staring at the massive human ship filling her view screen, its presence overwhelming. The human fleet didn't finish her. Instead, they halted their fire, leaving her crippled flagship drifting among the wreckage. Final transmission came through. Go home, Empress, and tell the galaxy never threaten Earth again. The human formation turned away, leaving behind a silent battlefield littered with the remains of the once proud Imperial fleet. In the darkness, The Empress finally understood. This wasn't just a defeat. It was a warning, and it would echo across the stars for generations.